On to our fourth match of the evening. Now, yesterday he put the BB to bed, but he's looking to do the same to his opponent here. Put your hands together. It's Optimus! And on the other side of the Howling Abyss, representing Team Ice, well, his bullets, they never miss. It's Uzi! Time to lock and load, gentlemen.
All right, so Optimus versus Uzi. You know, you heard it. Optimus took down Bebe, or BB. I always do that. I'm so terrible. But it's actually the worst, too, because I'm a former player, and I used to get super tilted when people would say my name wrong. And now I'm that guy, and I'm just like, damn it.
Screw that guy.
Why? Yeah.
There's a lot of players. Now you know. Now,
yeah,
you get to see at the other side what's it like. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about, Creepo.
Creepo.
So, yeah.
That's the problem with my name, man. Like, they find like so many unique. Either they go Creepo or they go like Crapo, and either way, like you correct them, it's still wrong.
Yeah. All the Europeans would call me a Zeal.
Zeal?
A Zeal.
Because they're used to the item, or.
Well, I mean, it wasn't in World of Warcraft, but it could be that. Maybe they're seeing it in the future.
They were ready for the superior.
Exactly. Exactly. We all were.
Welcome to the mothership. All right, let's see. Caitlyn Barris being banned. Draven on the other side. So these guys do not like AD carries, it seems.
No, definitely not. And I don't think that you want to play an AD carry duel against Uzi. So
probably not.
It makes a lot of sense that you're going to take him off the table. And he could even leave Lucian up if you wanted. Like, if you have a plan against Lucian, I don't think that Lucian is that dominant, but that's going to be taken off. So this is, in my opinion, probably the fourth strongest in this mode of AD carries.
Yeah, it has to be like a LeBlanc ban. I would argue that like Ezreal is just a fine 1v1 champion as well that we really haven't seen. It's a little awkward to build him maybe.
Yeah.
Because you're so mana-centric, but Ezreal has one of the highest damages, in my opinion, like level 1. Even just straight off the bat. If you can like kind of get around the minion wave somehow, you can really deal really good trades with auto queues.
Certainly, and if you do get into all-ins and you do have your passive stack, the extra attack speed that you give is something that can be underestimated a lot of the time. People aren't always kind of taking that in consideration, but all AD carry bans, LeBlanc, like you said, is on the table.
If you're playing
Nasus,
Uzi blind, I think you should go for the LeBlanc. The counter would actually be like a Nasus who can go for the farm.
I think Nasus, you build tanky, like you build MR and stuff, a couple Dorans, then you just build a cowl or whatever, you can farm it out. That could be quite effective against the LeBlanc, but LeBlanc actually has so much damage, and with the chains, you can kind of lock down even some of these tanks and eventually take them out.
Especially against a champion with a slower kind of gap closer animation. Like Arcane Shift is very like loaded on the front side. I feel like you can always connect a chain. It's not large enough for you to get out of chain range either, so in that sense, it is a good matchup.
Jace.
But
Quinn.
we won't see it at the end this year.
So we have seen Quinn before. We did see Quinn once. I believe it was actually, who was it? Who played it?
I totally did not cast all these 1v1s and should definitely not know this.
I'm totally spacing out right now. It was Mad Life. I'm pretty sure Mad Life actually did play the Quinn, and we did see Bjergsen obviously play Jace. Jace is definitely very strong in the 1v1s. Quinn's all in, though, cannot be underestimated. And this champion with the Harrier procs, I believe it is, are so much damage.
The problem is that Quinn doesn't get usually the problem is that Quinn doesn't get value from her ulti as much.
Yeah.
The same thing kind of can be said from they have really interesting trading patterns. Jace is good in 1v1s if he can hit both the range creeps with a Q or an empowered Q and the enemy champion, and then can speed up through his own gate, walk up, triple shot in the face, switch forms and hammer time. That is kind of what he wants to do, but it is hard against a good Quinn playing around with that vault.
Yeah, certainly. You can actually vault the Jace Q, I believe, and stop that. Yep. So that is something that's a really unique interaction. And if you do try to go aggressive as Quinn and you try to use the vault to refresh the Harrier proc and get the extra damage, then the Jace can Q onto you free, basically. And it's kind of, there's a back and forth there.
Yeah, I wonder if damage...
Jace E?
Well, the Jace E can knock her out of it for sure, but she'll still bounce back far enough. But I wonder if the damage actually still sticks on the Q. It used to be like super flashable, but I somehow feel that even if the Quinn gets the kind of the leap off to dodge the Q landing, she'll still take a significant amount of damage.
Yeah, I'm not super sure about that interaction, but either way, it is pretty interesting because you spoke about the Shock Blast, right? You spoke about hitting the back range minions and everything, and Quinn, it's kind of similar that you're dealing with, right? The Quinn Q you can push, you can hit the range minions with that as well. And you also have to, both champions want to keep minions in between them and the other champion, but not get too close to those minions to get splashed by the abilities.
Yeah, and you spoke about this kind of hybrid AD style last game where yes, you are an AD carry that can go all in, but you're focusing more on sustaining, become a bit of a bruiser. Uzi's doing something similar. Very heavy on mana regen, 1.7 in total. He has a lifesteal Quint as well built in, and he is running 18-0-12. 12 points in resolve, really going for a more sustained approach here.
Yeah, I think this is really smart, and it'll be interesting to see if he is even going to go like one step past that to do what Levy did and kind of start building some armor and that kind of thing.
And if we contrast that to Optimus, he is definitely much more around the kind of all-in aspect. He's running 7.5% CDR. So basically what he wants to do is get a good trade and go back in again and kind of outpace the cooldowns from Uzi. But that generally means stylistically that Uzi's approach is safer for basically a 1v1 holistically.
Yeah, I would think so. I think going for a CDR is pretty risky. It's something where you have to constantly get those trades. You kind of have to constantly do it, and your opponent can play around that and back off.
Yeah, we see that in the Masters as well. Yes, both of these guys are running Warlords, but there are 12 points in Cunning.
Yeah.
That's the middle tree for people that actually don't know what they're called, which is basically the all-in aspect, you know, where you run things like the Greenfather's Gift or Merciless, which basically gives you much more execute damage.
Yeah, and even I believe it's Assassin Mastery, which is the extra damage. So he has the Ignite too. So everything speaks about the fact that he wants to all in. But the problem with that is it becomes pretty choreographed. When you see your opponent is running CDR, if you click on them, you see that kind of thing. You see that, you know, he is running Greenfather's Grace, all this. You just know that you have to play a bit more defensively.
And then stylistically, how do you beat that? Well, you just pressure him and you get some allies, right? And those allies are the minions. And because as Uzi, you can have more liberties when you're pushing. Yeah. You can take some damage, sustain it back up. Whereas Optimus, he really wants to hold himself for that one big moment. Pretty poor Q in there from Optimus, honestly, allowing Uzi to bounce back. Uzi, all he needs to do is keep his range and avoid the EQ combos around level 5.
Exactly. Uzi has more sustain. He has the defensive trees. He has the lifesteal and the mana regen in the masteries. And he has, honestly, in my opinion, a much easier win condition than his opponent. And it's kind of the same sort of thing that we saw Levy force his opponent into, where Optimus is eventually probably going to come to the realization where it's like, crap, I have to all in, don't I?
Oops, I didn't goof. Yeah, strong trade here in between from Uzi. Gets a CS advantage. Sees a way in. Optimus, even though these styles are like nuances, these are still champions with a lot of high base damages, so that in itself is honestly the first layer of decision making. Can I hit this guy in the face? Yes, then go for it. And we've seen a continuous minion advantage here from Uzi.
Yeah.
Versus a champion that's generally known for pushing on Jace.
12 CS up already is pretty big. He is going to be able to close the gap a little bit, but Optimus is getting relatively low on HP. If Uzi can get there, he got the Relic. Ooh. And he gets both summoners from Optimus, which is brutal.
Oh, close there, though, because if that Relic goes to Optimus, suddenly all our theory goes out of the window, and Uzi gets smashed in the head. And even though he was so confident he was getting that Relic that he did not even want to use the exhaust on maximum range
the barrier,
to slow Optimus.
Yeah, and that's the fact is it wasn't even really that close because he still has both the summoners. He did get a little bit low on HP, but now he bases. He's going to have a much better buy, I would assume here. We'll see what he decides to spend all his gold on. So it's going to be pretty aggressive. Not going to go for the cloth armor route. I actually think that after
you could argue with it.
Yeah, I think that when you're already this far ahead, your opponent has already kind of blown his summoners and stuff. You can definitely afford to go for those more defensive routes.
Yeah, unless you're Uzi and you just feel so confident in like knowing the damage range that you can optimize your style. This is probably like a higher yield but lower variance if you go for the sword. Yes, you get screwed if you mess up, but if you keep the push going, then obviously you can lock this Jace on a turret and he has nothing else to do.
And the fact of the matter is, when you're 2 summoners to 0, Uzi might just want to kill this guy, right? Like, people, yes, winning on CS is super legit, but you'd rather kill the guy,
I mean,
right?
in front of the crowd has definitely shown us what they think about somebody who plays for CS.
The crowd wants blood.
Like gladiators.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the Gladiator movie, except in this movie, they don't respect the mercy. The mercy of leaving your opponent alive and killing only the minions.
Thumbs down every time.
Thumbs down every time, yeah, exactly.
This is actually like a hidden thing that's overlooked as well. There's no safety in brushes versus the Quinn, obviously, since you have that reveal.
Map hacks.
Good poke from Optimus. Answers there on Uzi. Uzi looking for some sustain before he goes in again. Good vault. Good answer on the trades. Every time Uzi vaults, he's getting a shock blast in the face. He's going low right now, though.
Tag. There's the exhaust. He's looking for the kill here. Should have it. So well played by Uzi. I think that this is like what Levy did, but one step better, right? He had the win condition of the 100 CS. He outthought his opponent. He had better build. I think he had better runes and everything to set up, and then he just kills the guy.
They were blocked by the cameras. Like, how do I get this? Yeah, anyway, okay, walk around, walk around. Yeah, and it basically, like, it was very seamless. It feels like he was kind of like
outplayed.
second nature. Like, I don't think he, as a player, is thinking about, oh yes, right here, because if I make that trade, obviously it's for this like big, broader concept. You see the final trade again. It's at this moment Optimus knows like he's going down. There's not much he can do. Even for good measure, showing that his barrier was still up at the end from Uzi.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's instinctual, right? Like you don't think about every single little decision you're doing. The very best players just know that it's the right decision, and that's why it's kind of funny talking to some of the amazing players. And you're like, oh, I'm going to talk to this guy. He's going to teach me how to be good. Yeah. He's like, oh, so why'd you do this brilliant thing? Because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's what you do.
That's
like,
what you
who
do.
wins this matchup?
That was the smart
this guy.
thing to do. Yeah.
Why? Like, no, he just wins the matchup.
You win.
Yeah, because he wins.
Because you win.
But yeah, that was really fun to see that we finally kind of unveiled like a more nuanced approach, because I feel day one it was all over the place. But right now we see 80 carries. But we see this like slight shift that Resolve is the better secondary tree. Yeah. That you definitely want to go for sustained talents as opposed to just like level 3 raw, like shotgun at each other. Whoever dies like is the loser.
Exactly. It's even if you're going for the kill, I still think Resolve is better, because unless you're doing a full straight up all in with no trading before, Resolve is going to give you more effective HP, right? It's going to give you that difference, that advantage.
Yeah, and there's no such thing as a 100-0 all in so far in 1v1s. We've seen
hasn't happened.
Maybe like an OAF game is like
Impact
kind of,
one.
Yeah,
maybe.
Is where you can describe it. But more than it, it's kind of a war of attrition.
Yep.
Definitely so.
Yeah, definitely. Even if it isn't all in later in the game, it's like early in the game. Oh, you forced them to base, so you got an item advantage. Then you could all in, got an XP advantage. These kind of things. So it is always coming into play. But that is Uzi moving on, and he's going to be in the quarterfinals as well. It will be Karsa and Albus.
Yeah, Albus next. So. Albus had a bye, so he's had time to kind of just look around, see what's going on, figure out what people are doing. Hopefully he picked up on the Resolve hype. And definitely also Mana Regen on blue seems very good, because you generally spec into kind of magic resistance there, but there's very few ability power based champions in this 1v1 circuit.
Yeah, there certainly are. And just the early CS and the wave control and stuff is so important. So if you're forced to base because of a lack of mana, that's so problematic, like even more so than in a regular Summoner's Rift game. So it definitely is coming a lot into play.
But we're not done yet, so let's check in with Ibai to see who's on stage. Spoiler, it's Albus.